here, it comes.
Hi and welcome, Jo here over at willieCottage.com, and it's back to basics video 15. Episode 14 was drum carding, art batt, and I created the slate shale blend. Now this is something, what I'm doing today is on the blending board. So those with just a blending board at home, you can do it yourselves at home, and it's the same technique and style of blending as I did on there. And what you get at the end, and I wish I could spin these up, but I've got a set that I'll be selling on the website from today's demo and a blending pack that I've put together. This is really pretty. It makes me think of silver birch in the woods. Usually in America, we don't really get the yellowy leaves, golden leaves here that we do get in the UK. Overseas in the UK, they generally tend to be green with a silver backing on them, with the typical white and silver trunks and the trees. But these are what I've created today. Okay, I've done 4 up so I could show you and take some photographs before I start filming this. So a little bit of sparkle in there. And I literally just have a rummage through my shelves to see what I could come up with. So I've done 4 so far, and what I've got is this pack that will be going on the website. So you can do it yourself or do it on your drum carder, and you will get a mild effect wool. And a mild effect wool means that atypically you've got little touches of colours that will go through the yarn, but it's got a predominant colour. So like you can have blue, but then when you look at it closely, it's got hints of red in there, it's got dashes of purple, it could have hints of orange in there, bits of green in there, maybe even some teal, maybe a bit of black in there to give it more of a dominant darker colour. So yeah, a mild wool, so a speckled wool, if you will. It's probably the equivalent of having speckled yarn if you were hand dyeing, but this is for spinners. So in the set that I've got in here, and what I'm blending with today, is some black and white bamboo, okay, grey day bamboo, so I'll just plonk that to one side. And I've got some hand dyed corridel, and it's in a buttermilk sort of colour, okay, different tones in there, which is what I like to dye up. Then I've got this merino with glitter stellina all the way through that as well, silver stellina, so that'll be going in there. Then I have got this it's mulberry silk mix with tweedy viscose and merino, so I've got that going on there. Then I've got a natural light grey merino, really lovely. I love this shade. It's really pretty with all these different contrasting colours and tones in there. And then last but not least is a soya fibre merino blend. So all of that is going on my blending board. I'll show you first how I do it and talk you through, just in case you're new to blending and never done it before. It'll be a nice shortish video, not too long. And then I will do the last lot of blending on silent with a tiny little bit of music, and then I'll catch you on the end. Don't forget, if you don't subscribe to my channel. It really does help me, and any type of chat or comments in below really does boost up my ratings on my YouTube channel, believe it or not, just by leaving a comment, anything, or even questions, anything like that. And hitting that like, definitely, it just helps other people find me on the algorithms. I do see that my channel now comes up as suggested watch, which is brilliant. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoy this and you understand the explanations. I am using my Luwe board. I'll pull out my old trusty blending board next time, and I'll tell you about that at the end of this video. Okay, so what an angle this is at. So these are the Rolex that I made, and I'll be getting 2 off of each of these. Now what I did at the beginning was I weighed out all my fibres that I wanted to use into 100 grams. So I knew that I had at least 100 grams of fibres, which is always a nice one to do when you're selling them on the website. So I've done 4 already, and what I did with those is divide them up into 4 piles, knowing that I could easily get 2 nice weighted Rolex off of this board at a time. Okay, so these are the fibres. I've got another little pile over on the side, and I'm going to get started. Now, I've got a Luray blending board. I've also got a handmade one. You could quite easily make a handmade one at home. The only thing that's the expense is actually paying for the carding cloth. Yeah, that's the most expensive piece, and a piece of carding cloth this exact same size on my other blending board, and it cost me £49 for my UK supplier. I'll put a list up in the descriptions of places that I know that sell the carding cloth on its own in the UK. If anybody's over in America and can find know of places, please let me know. Drop me a DM on my Instagram and I can add that into the descriptions for anybody else that might want to do that in the future. But my other ones, as everyone knows, it's a chopping board from IKEA that has a lip that comes over the edge of my worktop, and I find it really, really good, and it's what I started my business off with. So what I'm going to do and why, so I've got this merino. I'm going to start off with this first, and as I always say, I never add things like this, these silky fibres or neppy type fibres on the first layer, because I want to trap them in the fibres. I find personally that if I put these sort of fibres on the base, they will come up and roll up, but I tend to find that they get staticky, and I end up cleaning up a lot more fibres from between my tines afterwards when I'm working. So I never do any fluffy neps or any type of loose silky bits on my first layer. I use my wool, my main primary colour that I want it to show through first, as my base layer. So I've split that roving that I had in half, and you've got the same amount of roving in the blend pack as well. And I'm just gonna hold my hand there and just guide the wool and drag it down with my left hand. If you're left-handed, do it the opposite way around. Use your left hand and pull down with your right. And I just use that so that I don't pull off two larger clumps in any one go when I'm coming down the board. See, there's quite a lot of clump there, so I'm just going to take that off and add that back in. I like it to try and be quite even as I'm pulling it down. That piece doesn't want to go in, so I'll just drag that down there. And if I shovel my hand all the way down it from the top, now you don't really want lots of fibre up this top end, okay, because it'll only just all clog up and get knotted when you're blending. You're all right having an inch or so on the bottom like this, because those fibres you need to help roll up your dowels or your drumsticks or your knitting needles or whatever it is that you're using for making your rolags, punies or rologs. So I'm just going to keep going until I've got all this fibre on, and then I'm going to get my brush, which you can use a brush, a paintbrush. I'm not really keen on the paintbrush method. I like to put a little bit of backbone into making sure that my fibres are right down the bottom. So I'll just hold this at the top and I will pull the fibres down. You can use a small carding brush, which you can get, which are dog ones, or you can order them from your wool suppliers. So that's me done that bit so far. So now I'm going to add in this little bit of blue that I've got in there. There's a little bit of blue in the other one. It must have fallen out somewhere. Be around it. Yeah, it's down there on the bottom. There's a little bit of blue in there because I wanted to look like these stormy clouds. I've got the merino soya, so I'm going to put that in there. That's a really fine flyaway fibre with the soya, so I just want to make sure it's trapped and it's not going to get stuck into the tines on my board afterwards. So once I've done that, I'm going to get some of this merino, tweedy viscose and silk blend, and I'm just going to brush it down there, and then I'm going to put that to one side for the end. I'm going to get the corridale that I've dyed up now, and I'm going to ever so gently just tease it open. I'm going to split it in half so it's easier to work with, because both those sections are going to go right across the board. So I'm just going to let my hand guide it down. I'm not pushing in to the fibres, I'm just running my hand along the tops of the tines along the board so that I know that I've helped guide these wools into the blending board. I'm going to start from this side and work my way in. especially if you're using hand-dyed wools. You do really need to tease open those fibres. Even though they're not felted, they're congested and compact a little bit together through the process of dyeing and the heat. So sometimes you just want a little bit of steam will help open up, loosen up a little bit more, or just teasing if you can't do that. So now I'm just going to move these dowels out the way. I'm going to get my brush again, and this makes me think of a floor brush. So if you don't have a Louet, but you want something that's quite firmer in the bottom, one of those old hand floor scrubbing brushes, you can get them at your hardware store, your ironmongers, for a couple of quid. As long as it's got firm bristles on it, enough to help pack down the fibres and not damage them, I'll be fine. So I'm going to get my bamboo. This is really, really flighty. So I'm not thinking of any specific way of putting this in. I don't really mind. I'm just putting it willy-nilly because these roll lags don't have a uniform. I'm not thinking about a grading or anything like that. I just want to see if I can make a really pretty yarn that has different colours in there. So now I'm onto this merino and with stellina blend. I'm just going to split it again into workable parts, and I'm just going to brush that down with my hand, and again just willy-nilly, whenever I see a bald spot that's vacant without lots of fibres in it. And then I'm going to get my brush again, brush that down before I put any more on, because it easily gets congested. But just stick to a nice round weight when you're putting your wools together, 100 grams, split them into 4 groups. They don't have to be completely even. You just want it so it's easy and workable. Right, so I'm going to just put that through there. I think there's actually some silk in here as well. I'm going to take this piece off, put that back in with my fibres. Brush that down with my hand. There we go. Now I'm back to my grey, and I'm going to whiz that all the way down. I do think I might have to pack my fibres in again, but I'll just run it across once and then come back with the fibres I've got left over in my hand, see if there's any spots that I haven't covered. Now I want the grey to go all across the board. I'm not because I want this to be the dominated colour. The other ones are just going to be little highlights throughout my yarn. And that's how my brain's thinking. I'm thinking about what the overall project's going to look like at the end. Right, small grey. I'm going to cover up this yellow bit there. There's quite a strong yellow bit there, and a bit down here. A bit more over here, and at this bottom piece here. I'm not trying to hide the yellow. I'm just trying to make sure that this grey wool is evenly distributed about the board. And if you just repeat that theory all the way along when you're doing each little group, then you should end up with roll legs that look very, very similar. Now this is the last piece that's going on there. If you keep your fingers, so that's the full length of my staple length of fibres. So when you're pulling the fibres down, you want to make sure that you're not up there because it's just choking it. You're not going to get anywhere. It's the same if you were spinning. You make sure your fingers are down the lowest part of the staple length, and they're all pretty even now. So I need my fingers down that far now so that the fibres will come away and I'm not fighting with them in my hand. Swap my hand over. Okay, so now I'm going to get my dowels and I'm going to run one underneath, and I'm just going to ever so slightly just lift up my fibres at the bottom, okay, of my board here. Just going to ever so slightly lift them up. I'm just going to tilt you back a little bit so you can see how I get started. Right, so here's my dowel. I'm doing that one there, and with this set that I get, I've got 2 dowels, and it just helps pull the dowels out afterwards. So now that I've got them, I've got 1 underneath and 2 on top, or you could just have 1, depends how thick they are. I would generally say if you're looking for dowels or a chunky knitting needle, a good sized bamboo wooden knitting needle, you want to go for at least a size 12 on your knitting needle. That's what I like to use. So I'm just going to gripping them in place, and I'm just going to ever so slightly drag it back a bit, using proper my thumbs underneath the board here while I'm holding on, just to give a bit of wedge to the motion and gripping on. And I'm going to do that again, and at the same time I'm running the fibres back down through the tines, so it helps. There we go, see, it helps with that straightening out of the fibres. Just going to lift that up a little bit and smooths them out as you go along. Get my thumbs down there, thumbs down again. Unfortunately, I have got little hands, so I can only stretch down so far. And I just keep running them along those tines on the board, and there we go. And then not tight, just like that, very gently. Just move it around. I'm not holding on to it. I'm just smoothing the fibres into place around the dowel. Okay, that's it. So then I'm going to take out one of the dowels, whichever one wants to move first. Take that out. Take the second one out. And there we have one row lag done. Okay, so put that one to one side, and I'm going to just ever so gently just tease those fibres up again, just so I can get my dowel underneath them. Right there, put my 2 on the top again, like so. Twist it around until I can't see. Oh, pull. There we go. It's a little bit hard. I have to use my belly a little bit. Right, there we go. So start tugging them down, roll up, and just use the board and your thumbs and to help drag those fibres down. You'll get to a point in a minute you'll want to lift, like now. I can feel the resistance in the needles, in the tines, and then I just pull it down. And you've got these fluffy little bits here, just drag them down into the tines and then roll up before you lose any contact with the top of the fibres. I'm just going to lift them up again, and you'll start to get these fluffier pieces that are sat up the top here. They look a little bit messy, but if you just keep dragging them down, I'm going to keep pulling and teasing, pulling and teasing, roll up, pull down and tease it in. I'm going to just lift them up, so I've got all this scruffy bit that's up from the top here. I'm just going to unpick these pieces, and I'm just going to ever so gently start to drag it down the board. Not hard. I'm not digging it into the tines. I'm just pulling my dowels down across the top of the tines so the fibres catch, so that when I'm pulling it, hopefully the fibres will catch and straighten out, so I don't end up with lots of lumpy pieces in my fibre, in my row lags. See, they start to stretch out a little bit. I'm just going to keep on doing that, because this side's nearly finished, but this one's got a lot more fibre in it. So obviously when I was blending it, I was concentrating more on one side than I was on the other. So, and you just keep doing that until all your fibres start to disappear. There we go. And that's it. All gone, board's cleared. that's really what you want to do. That's the whole theme of it. You don't want to be leaving any fibres on your board when they should be in your OLAG. So just ever so gently. I mean, there's no pressure in there. My fingers aren't red or white or anything. I'm not squeezing like that, okay? I'm not squeezing. I just put my hands around it, just cupping it, and then just making sure those fibres are all in there together. And then that's that done. So I push out my middle dowel, take out my second dowel and my third dowel. And there we go. And one more for measure. And they've all got a slightly different look. But the concept's there, and you should end up with a really lovely looking mild effect yarn. And with these really soft viscose tweedy bits, you'll get just the tiniest little pop of texture as you're spinning away. Right, so I'm going to do the last of my fibre. I will see you on the other side in a few minutes. So there you go, grey, yellow, the tiniest little hint of blue that pops out now and again in different Rolex. A slight, very subtle tweedy texture. Why do you want Rolex? Well, Rolex helps to enable you to be able to spin in the English long draw and for woolen wools. If you're wanting to spin in worsted to get a worsted effect yarn, then you're looking at using rovings and batts. Batts can give you a woolen effect, and I will show you how to do that, though I have got a video that I did the other year there of showing how to blend your batts so you can get a worsted style spin and an effect to make a woolen style spin. My natural go-to is to long draw anyway. I always find it really hard to force myself to sit there and spin nearer the wheel. Really find it very hard to do that. My natural instinct is to pull away. So yeah, so the English law draw will help you with practice of that. Also, as I've explained before, when you're spinning with your Rolex, because of the way that I blend mine, I've seen people that blend them slightly different, upside down, so like you're turning the Rolex underneath the fibre as you're going up the board. I can't fathom that out. But majority of people blend up. So I've come down towards myself. So if I'm stood like this and I'm putting the fibres down, I'm coming at a clockwise direction towards myself. So from top to bottom, so 12 to 3, top to bottom, 12 to 3. Okay, just for like, I'm trying to imagine how I'm trying to explain this. So I'm blending them down in a clockwise direction down the board. Then when I'm rolling them back up the board in an anti-clockwise direction. So back from 3 to 12. Okay. So once I've got to that point, when I'm going to spin them, I will get the end and I will tease it out and I will spin that again in a clockwise direction. So going from my left to right. So again, putting on the board, I'm going from the top to the bottom, or from my right side to my left side. Then when I'm making the Rolex, I'm going from my left side to my right side, which is my bottom to top. And then when I'm spinning it and using the Rolex, then I am spinning in a clockwise direction, or my wheel's going that way. Okay, it's going from right to left. There we go. I'm not going to get into the Z twist and the S twists at this moment in time. I just want you to get on there. There's lots of information in your books at home anyway, and if you want to look into more detail, do a Google search for S twist and a Z twist yarns and you'll see what I mean. But I will dabble down that route another time when I get back onto the topic of spinning. We get a little bit further on and a bit more technical. I just wanted these back to basics to be an introduction into experimenting and learning and just having a go. Okay, so live chat next Wednesday. I might do a couple of Rolex up and I'll do a demo. I'll do a demo again just for 2 Rolex and I'll spin them up while I'm there, and I will do it in this mild effect so you can see what the wool can look like when you're finished with it. On another note, the next back to basics video will be back on the drum carder again. It's a topic I was going to approach, and I have been asked today on my Instagram chat to do a ratios blend, which I was going to do next month anyway, Mary. I was going to do it anyway, a ratios. So really like adding nylon to wools and silks to wools and textures to wools and things like that to get a really decent ratio of that. So that's what I was going to do next month. And we'll have a little chat about that and the different effects that you can get from using different types of ratios and the reasons as to why you would need X amount of ratio to wool for different fibres, whether weaving, knitting, crocheting, felting, that sort of topics. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit more in depth and a little bit of a demo on the drum carder, and I will do the same sort of demo in the ratios the following back to basics video in October. So there'll be 2 videos of back to basics next month, and I'll be doing that on the blending board so you can see how I put it together on there as well. It is today Monday I forgot what day of the month it is. Monday I think it's it's 22nd on Friday, so I can't remember what day of the week is. Bear with me a second. This is so unprofessional. There's a reason to this. I have currently got on a couple of codes on the website. So whether you're in the UK or if you're overseas, any orders that come into the website at the moment till the end of September, it's Monday the 18th, to the end of September, the last day of September, midnight, I will be through. I have been adding in 50-gram bags of my own of my locks. Excuse my girls fighting. Scardy, do apologise. They're both on heat, and Iron is not happy. Right. So up until the midnight on the last day of September for UK and worldwide customers, if you add, you all get 50 grams in your order, no matter whether you order once, twice or 3 times between now and then. Okay, you'll all get anyway. Second, if you're in the UK, I have got a free post code on at the moment. So just in capital letters, free post, all one word. And you will get automatically free posted once you've applied that at cart. And that's for orders of £10 up to £39. Okay, so if you just want 1 thing or 2 things. Because orders over £40 in the UK automatically get free postage. The second thing that I need to mention as well, which is up from now until Friday the 22nd at midnight, I have currently got a buy 2 get 1 free offer going. So add 3 things to your cart and you will only have to pay for the 2 items. Your cheapest item will be free, and that's for UK and overseas worldwide customers, whether you're in Canada, Texas, Belgium, Brussels, Paris or London. Any of those places, the Isle of Skye, the Shetlands, the Orkneys. If you want to order from me, just give me a shout and I will sort that out for you. I do not like some companies that say that those islands aren't in the UK, because they are. My ancestors come from there. So yeah, so there you go. So we've got free post. I will leave it in the description, but it's only valid until midnight on Friday. The back to school, BACK number 2 SCHOOL. Back to school, that's your buy 2 get 1 free offer, and that's valid until Friday. Free post is valid until the end of this month, UK only, and everybody's getting 50 grams of locks. Mostly because I've got so many, I need to just flog them. I need to give them away as a thank you to everybody that supports me all the time. And because sales have been so not too bad the last couple of weeks, I've not done a stock order, so I've managed to save up, and I've got a new 3D printer coming today. So give me a week or so to get that figured out and working, because it's a completely different brand to Twilight. So give me a couple of weeks, I should have that up and running again and taking custom orders. So that's it for today. Thank you ever so much for supporting me, coming over and watching my videos. Any suggestions for future blending topics that I might not have covered or that you haven't seen me do, drop them in the comments below. Any type of comments really does help my channel. And I've got actually a gift coming from YouTube in a couple of weeks' time. So watch this space. I can't wait for it to turn up. It's Lego. Anyway, I'm off. Saturday live chat as well. I'll be over on Instagram if you want to come over and join me over there. And it's usually about 12ish, but I'll put an announcement up in Saturday morning's update. Catch you later. Be good. Be careful. Bye.